And there you are, look, I'm trying to keep that APC alive. The heavy tank's taking the brunt of that attack. There's another, and I kept the APC alive just, and I've left my units, I'm not moving forward, look, I've just left them in position, using the view range of my heavy tanks.
Battle control initialized.
Hello there, comrades and cannon fodder, it's Dvoid here. I've got a 1v1 multiplayer game, and we're on Woodlands map for this one. I'm using Russia, my opponent's using Germany for this game. I'm in red in the bottom right, my opponent using Germany is in blue in the top left. Placed our barracks, let's see what order we produce. My opponent's sending infantry straight out, I am as well. So we've got 3, 4, my opponent's training infantry, I've trained 4, and then an engineer. My opponent's still training rifles at the moment. It looks like they're going straight forwards. These 4 riflemen are to hunt engineers, but normally I'd actually go for this oil derrick first, but this time I'm going for this one. And I've discovered that there are some enemy infantry in the centre of the map. I've found them. There we go. Yes, and I'm losing troops, shedding rifles here. Not good. I wasn't far from my opponent. Let's see. And I got him. Well. Very, very nice. You couldn't get better timing. That was perfection. Although it would have been better just to take a single shot at the barrel. I could have lost that rifleman before he finished the engineer. But it worked fine. You know, the job was done. And my opponent has decided to attack into my oil derrick, and that's a bad idea because I'll open fire before he can even see my troops. So now I'm moving. You see, shooting at the ground. No, you no. 1 rifleman survived to back off. Better than none. And there you go. Look, I've got a couple of riflemen protecting my engineer, and I've taken 2 oil derricks. My opponent hasn't taken either. That was real bad luck with that engineer, but really good luck for me. It was perfect timing. And I lost 4 riflemen doing it, but it's the same cost, and now my opponent has no oil derricks and I have 2. And I've still got my engineer. So it's a far better situation for me. For the cost, we've both lost the same in value in units. We've both lost 400 credits worth. My opponent's lost his engineer, but then again he's also lost a couple of rifles extra. So my opponent has lost more in value. And also after that, obviously that was a, you know, you don't want to do that. But it was, you know, it was an attempt at gaining the advantage back, why not? But it didn't work. You don't attack into these oil derricks with the view range like that, not unless you've got a vehicle and a larger force. There you go, I've got my APC. Looks like I'm moving forward. But my opponent hasn't trained a second engineer. They are going for the rocket soldiers, which is probably the best choice. But they are delayed. They've got a couple of... They're training the rocket soldiers now, that's better. I've got my rifle guards well placed. At the start of the game, the enemy can use... Say I could use my APC to... like kill any individual rifle guards, but if they're close to your base and you see your opponent using, say, a ranger or something to trim away at your rifle guards, if they're close to your base at the start, you can bring them back, or at least group them together, you know, at least. Whereas late as the game moves on, you need to spread your rifles out further, and your guards and your scouts, you need to spread out across the map. There you go, I've taken my opponent's closest oil derrick. It's not a good sign for my opponent. But at the same time, I don't want to leave this force here and use the view range of the oil derrick and just get overrun by my opponent's larger army. Now, I do have a larger army, but there's, you know, a chunk of it's back here, escorting the MCV for my expansion. I'm placing barracks. And there you go, look, they're moving forward now. I would have destroyed that force, but at least I captured the oil derrick, so I've got 3 for now. My opponent's got none. So it's not a good situation for oil derricks. There's my engineer, and there's an enemy rifleman. How on earth did he make it there? It must have moved along this bit or something. But yeah, he sneaked past that guard. There's my heavy tank. Got a heavy tank produced, and I've got my APC. Placing defences, getting this area secured so I can set up an expansion. Now, I think this is probably a better place for the first expansion because you're securing an oil derrick at the same time as building your expansion. It secures it because your assets are here, obviously. So I think this side is a better choice for the first expansion rather than here. And I usually go to this one, to be fair. But, you know, whatever. It's just thinking about it, this is probably a better idea. And I am spreading out my rifle guards, look, and so is my opponent. And they're trailing behind in army value at this point. They've got the light tank driving around, scouting. And they did train an engineer, but they haven't used it yet. They need to capture this and this quickly. Take the advantage away because I've got 3. And we've got an eco-transfer, but no refinery yet. For my opponent, I should say. Training medics. And there you go, my rifle scouts are moving out. My opponents are as well. And look, my opponent's searching, seeing how far I've expanded. And this guy is going to check. Over here, look, yeah. So my opponent's got a fair idea how far I've spread. So yeah, my opponent's got the units well placed. You know, if I was to attack there, I'd need a serious advantage in numbers. I've got my APC and a few heavy tanks up front. There, we've got some rifle guards engaging. Rifle scouts. Here we go. And there you are, look, I'm trying to keep that APC alive. The heavy tank's taking the brunt of that attack. There's another, and I kept the APC alive just, and I've left my units, I'm not moving forward, look, I've just left them in position, using the view range of my heavy tanks, and I know I've got that engagement, and I'm bringing my MCV to actually add extra assets to this fight, to this battle. Now I can advance, look. But the APC needs repairs, it's on its last legs. My engineer's still there, but the enemy are close, and here we go, I'm pressing my attack before my opponent can build more units, but they are moving forward with a decent force. Look, that's on force fire for some reason. They've made a mistake, misclick. But it's actually hitting units. Interesting. Got a rocket soldier there, and yeah, I'm fighting in the enemy's view range. You see, my opponent can see when I'm attacking. I've had to fall back. Yeah, look, I've had to fall back because I was wasting units there, and the attack that went here, I've decided it's turned away and gone this way instead, and that base defence is still shooting the ground. There's my own base defences. The APC's repaired, look. The engineer's still there, so... look, he's moving, and he's about to be shot. There you go, that's a shame. And I've overrun my opponent's defences, decided to take that out, and there's another force on its way, and they've actually sent it in a good direction because they're going to find that construction yard. Perfect. But I've placed a barracks and a base defence, flame tower behind it, so that'll do some good defensive work. There you go, look at that, it's, you know, reduced a fair few infantry there to ashes. My opponent's done well to hang on and maintain an army value. They have attacked here with a light tank, they've got an auto up. we go. Over on the expansion, they had 3 refineries there. That was a mistake. They should have at least, you know, put something here. But, you know, sometimes that's how it goes. You're under too much pressure. There's an engineer, I've trained another, but my opponent sold up what I didn't destroy, they sold. And they did take the oil derrick, look, but they haven't taken this one. And they should see me moving past. Yeah, look, they'll see me moving past because of the oil derrick view range. So I've got my tanks in the perfect position, look. Can even squish the enemy, look. Nice. I lost a tank. 1. And I've still got a tank in the right position on this side, look. I made sure to have my unit screened properly. Heavy tanks are great, they're solid. This one's needs repairs. It's not going for repairs, but it needs it. And there you go. That's, we've got the enemy light tank has moved in here, but it's not that much of a problem. I can maintain my attack, and I've even got primary production here, and I'm capturing the oil derrick. I've got 4. And I'm sending units to respond, look. Finally noticed, and finishing my opponent here. They actually put up a decent fight to maintain their army value as they did while I was attacking like that. I think they did quite well. It's just a shame they didn't expand more early on and get a bit more map presence, because they would have been able to make a better stand, more of a last stand when it came to it. You know, they would have had more options for where to retreat to, and possibly a place there they could say build a second war factory and things like that. But that light tank's made a nuisance of itself. It's just managed to escape with a tiny sliver of health. But yeah, I've got units here now because I got fed up of it bothering me, and there you go. That's the final structure. It's a refinery, an ore truck, look. There is nothing else. So there's no repairs for the light tank. And I'm expecting to find an expand. There you go, got rid of it. Little pest. And now I'm realising that that literally is going to be it. I've got my radar dome, so obviously thieves are being trained. And I've got an APC, look, so the thieves can quickly move over here. Got an engineer, and because I didn't know my opponent's been destroyed, I saw a few rifles come from that direction, so they may have been here for all I know. Plus, I didn't know if they were here or not. So I've just played it safe and gone for the chokehold, where the engineer captures it and keeps resetting the capture bar, and the thieves infiltrate while you're capturing because they can't sell it. Once this is gone, that's going to be the end of the game. There you go. I didn't even bother. And there you are. There's the end of the first game. I'm going to add a second game to this post, a second replay, but I'll just go through the graphs and charts for this one. There's the army graph, look. Yeah, basics. I'll have a look at the earnings graph. Yeah, my opponent was doing okay, but that dip in the middle would not have done them any favours. Definitely not. And there's my finishing army. I've got tech now, V2s, plenty of heavy tanks, thieves. I've got the lot. 36,000 army value, and I lost 4 structures. My opponent lost 21. I killed 222 units. My opponent killed 138. And I destroyed 68,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets. My opponent destroyed 28,000 credits worth of mine. I don't have any support powers underway as yet. And I'm not making any. I'm training thieves and V2s. I've got 7 ore trucks left. I managed to take all the oil derricks. That's not a good sign. But I earned 107,000 credits. My opponent earned 63,000 credits. And we've both got some cash left each. I was at 31 actions per minute. My opponent was at 35. And there's your scores and all your stats, charts and graphs, etc. So I'm going to go to the second replay for you and get straight into that one.
Battle control.
And this
terminated.
second replay, this is actually the last game that I fought not long
Battle
ago.
control
So I'll tack it
initialized.
onto this one, and we are also on Woodlands map, which it's a map I do like. I've been using it recently, not loads, but you know, I like to use it. And this is a 1v1 multiplayer game. I'm using Russia, and my opponent is using Germany. So we're on Woodlands map. I'm in red in the bottom right. My opponent's in blue in the top left. So here we go, Russia v Germany. There, I'm sending riflemen out. So's my opponent. And more, when I'm sending these 3 rifles, look, but this guy here, the front rifleman, I destroy the barrel just so that my opponent can't snipe it and kill my engineer. But I've got a rifleman there, and it clears the way and escorts the engineer. So I go for the closest oil derrick and set a shift command for a reasonably safe route to the second oil derrick, and my opponent's here, look. I've actually used this cluster of 3 rifles to engage there, and that wasn't great. I should have just left them still where they were after they opened fire. And there would have been a nuisance for any rifles approaching. And 2 rifles made it through, so I knew the engineer was vulnerable. So I had to, like, duck out and then make sure he's covered. There you go, look, he's well and truly escorted there. But you still got to watch it. My opponent could have been at this side, so you have to watch it. And there you go, look. My opponent's still not giving up. And they're firing blind. See, oh, they can see. Very nice. I backed off with the engineer, so I failed my capture, and it's reset, but I decided to advance, and I cleared them out, and restarted my capture. So I've got my rifleman here. My opponent hasn't trained an engineer then. Right, they've got more riflemen on the way, but that's interesting. I've just detonated the barrels, and there's, yeah, nothing there. But he's going back, he's going to go and wait. I didn't know if they was making his way between these 2 oil derricks, but there's the engineer now. Interesting. And there's my group of units protecting the oil derrick. My engineer's staying with them for the moment. But I am moving out with rifle guards, look. And against this player, I always place rifle guards around here because you've got to watch out for base pushes. This player likes an aggressive base push. They seem to love it. And the engineer has captured their first oil derrick for them. Now, this rifleman is escorting the engineer. And in fact, it's going to make it. All right. Ranger spotted my engineer hunter. He wasn't far off, but I don't think I'd have caught him anyway. So yeah, and I've got the APC, and it's full of grenadiers, look. I've decided to commit my first scout vehicle to a gren drop rather than use it alongside my infantry. And that's why these infantry are sticking here next to the view range of the oil derrick, and my opponent just ran headlong into my units. Now, riflemen alone will kill a ranger on a flak truck if they run headlong into them like that. You know, you can't do that. Their armour is far too weak, and there's 2 oil derricks for my opponent and 2 for me. So I've allowed them to capture them. I didn't literally allow them, but I couldn't stop them. And my opponent sent their engineer on a little mission, look, he's going to capture, and I've got my rifles in position to stop those shenanigans, and there's my APC. My gren drop is ready in place. Lucky I didn't spot the engineer, but here we go. There's my APC, and my opponent has placed a turret. And there's the first power plant destroyed. So there you go, he's doing a few crushes and looking for targets, but I saw that, you know, I can't really make it round there. My opponent sold that. So I got the grenadiers, packed them up and left. And thought, right, I've done some damage. My opponent was in low power briefly. and leave and salvage the 4 grenadiers and the APC, and then that way it's cost me 160 to do that. And it's disrupted my opponent, disrupted their build order, because they did briefly go into low power and they sold things, so, and they lost a power plant, so it will interfere. And there you go, my APC's there, and their engineer's been gone down. I don't know, I didn't see how far they ordered it forward, but it went to actually capture this, so it went too far. Now let's have a look at some army values. I'm at 11,000, my opponent's at 8,000, so I've got the lead at the moment. And I decided to make some flak trucks. And I don't normally use them. I've said plenty of times I don't use flak trucks as a rule. I use them as a counter when my opponent builds artillery or V2s or aircraft. That's when I make flak trucks. But I thought they'd be useful for some harassment and for hunting MCVs and stuff. And if I attack the enemy and their conyard packs up, rather than having my units like try and chase it, I can just send flak trucks to kill it, because they're so lethal against MCVs and lightly armoured targets that they're the perfect unit for hunting them. So that was my reasoning behind having 3 flak trucks, just for a change, when I don't normally go for them. And there I'm sending my home base MCV up here, and my opponent's gathering units on this side and attacking my oil derrick. My opponent's expanded right up to the edge, and I've got very little in the way of expansions. I'm just setting up my second, but my opponent's just reached here. Now they're setting up their third, I'm setting up my second expansion. And I've got my APC there with the 4 grenadiers in, look. There we go. So that's staying safe. The flak trucks are also staying safe. And now my army is moving over in this direction. I've put primary production here to defend it. That's my expansion, and I need to. And my opponent's actually got a tank attacking, so I'm sending these units to stop it. Right. They're falling back with this small infantry group, but they've actually sent 4 tanks. It looks like they're going on an eco raid. They probably thought I'd be mining here already, which is a reasonable assumption, but no, I'm afraid not. So they're going to have to carry on and go somewhere else, which they are doing. And I realised straight away, I saw that, because they're attacking my rifle guards, look. But I'm attacking here, and I know I've got the enemy on the run. But I've got to watch it. I'm busy fighting these and here, plus there was a vehicle there as well, and I've got to make sure I don't run headlong into a trap. So you see, that's why these are paused briefly, and there you're moving forward, look, and I've got my APC with grenadiers in and 3 flak trucks. Now I've managed to run down these tanks, but my opponent's hitting me here at my main expansion perfectly. Now there's an ore truck gone, and I'm attacking here, and my flak trucks destroyed the conyard when it tried to pack up into an MCV and get away. The flak trucks hunted it down and destroyed it, but my opponent has destroyed 4 ore trucks there. None of them escaped, and they're attacking one here. That's probably going to be destroyed, and I've got a large force that's idle. So I've set up an MCV here, and I need to get setting up refineries because I've lost some serious ore trucks. And look, my opponent's overrun this expansion, so my MCV is running. That's my second MCV, and luckily these infantry destroyed the tank. And the view range I get from these structures is just going to mangle these guys. They won't be able to do any damage in return. Look, I'm not losing units. And here, yeah, they've destroyed my expansion, but I know I've secured that side now. And there's a tank. I've got to watch that. But I'm attacking, and I've still got the APC with grenadiers, and I've still got the flak trucks, look. They're all doing their part. And I've overrun my opponent's main base, broken their defences, but they are still salvaging assets. You know, they can earn a nice bit of cash off these ore trucks. And there you go, there's the grenadier drop. I'm attacking the refinery, and then the war factory, and I've got shift command to attack these 2 other structures. So the grenadiers strike again, and I've got this is defending against... There was another tank there, so I had to stop 2 medium tanks from destroying my con yard. And I've got my war factory up here. When I was moving this construction yard... Look, this is the final assault. My opponent's got a few units, but they're trying to get away. Yeah, they're fighting now. My opponent's called it. And they do have this base, but, you know, they can see a large army heading their way. But what I was just going to say, while I was moving this construction yard up here, I was attacked by my opponent here, and I had to wait before I could move my construction yard and pack it up into an MCV and drive away. I had to wait because this one was not set up yet. So if I'd have packed that up, my war factory that I placed here would have been cancelled. All the build time would have been wasted. So what I did was, I actually sort of did them both at the same time. A really risky kind of manoeuvre where neither of them were actually deployed. But if you do it quick enough, you can still place a structure or deploy one and keep the build progress. I just juggled it very quickly because it's like an example of that is I could pack up my construction yard and still place a structure. I could select the construction yard, press F to pack it up, press E and click to place a structure before my construction yard packs up and drives away. You know, you can do that, pack it up and then place a structure under its build radius. As long as you do it quickly, you can still do it. It's just one little tip you can do. You can pack up your structure and select your construction yard. If you hold the Alt key, say you're being attacked by an enemy force here, I would select my construction yard, hold the Alt key and tell it to move here, and it would pack up and move all in a single smooth command. And what I would do is I'd hold the Alt key, click to move, and then press R to place a base defense quickly while it was packing up. Rather than placing the base defense and then doing it, you can pack it up, get it out of there straight away, and place a base defense really quickly. As long as you use the right hotkeys, you're fine. But rather than go on and on about that, I'll go through the graphs and charts for you. So here's the army graph. Look, my opponent was just slightly behind. And then once the combat kicked off, their army value plummeted. There's the earnings. My opponent matched me for earnings. And look at that. Why have I got such a drop? Oh yeah, of course. What am I talking about? They destroyed all my ore trucks here. That's why I had a drop like that. That was a proper killer blow. You know, I'm surprised. If that game would have gone on much longer, I would have possibly run out of credits, and if they'd have hit me and counterattacked at the right point before I recovered, they may have been able to win. But they were in that much of a sorry state, and I had too many units that, yeah, there was nothing they could do. But there's the earnings graph. It shows you it was a very, very effective attack from my opponent down here against my expansion. It was very effective. My finishing army, 7 heavy tanks, some flak trucks, my APC, basic infantry, lights, you know, rifles, rockets, a few flamers, and it's a 27,000 army value I've got. I lost 6 structures, my opponent lost 11, and I killed 192 units, my opponent killed 74. I destroyed 43,000 credits worth of my opponent's assets. My opponent destroyed 21,000 credits worth of mine. No support powers in effect. I don't have my radar dome placed either, but I do have my second war factory, I should say, and I'm in need of refineries, so that would have delayed my radar dome construction quite a bit. I need more refineries. If I'm counting these right, I've only got 2 ore trucks. My opponent did extremely well. After they destroyed these here, they still destroyed an ore truck there, and possibly here. It's, you know, they did very well. I was kind of lucky that my assault did enough damage. But yeah, I'm building refineries, and I would have placed one up here. Not the safest place, to be fair, but... And then I wouldn't have wanted to use this construction yard and move it here, but at the same time I wouldn't have wanted to abandon the war factory without build radius at the front line. I would want to have placed base defences and stuff. It's possible I could have Yeah, I probably would have placed a refinery here and then moved this to set up an expansion here again. Yeah, that makes sense. Right, economy. I've got 2 ore trucks left, look. That's how well my opponent did. Extremely effective. That was a perfect eco raid, and then they continued it. Very nice. I've got an oil derrick left. This one, they managed to hang on to that one. And I earned 63,000 credits. My opponent earned 69,000 credits. And I've got 0 cash left. But my opponent's okay for cash. Obviously, they couldn't spend it. But yeah, not bad. I got 50,000 credits worth of assets. Basics, I was at 30 actions per minute. My opponent was at 38 actions per minute. There's your scores. 429 to me, 208 to my opponent. And there's your basics, graphs, charts, tabs, etc. So I hope you enjoyed those 2 games. I did, and this, like I say, this was my last game of the night. So if you did enjoy them, give us a sub and a like. Thank you very much for watching. Take good care of yourselves, and for now, goodbye.
Battle control terminated.